Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know, it's Kotaro Prince. Welcome back to all my returning subscribers. But if you're a new viewer, I just like making a different kind of videos from military time, my time in the military, what's like after the military, travel videos, anything that really just piques my interest. I actually have my friend here, whose name is Floyd. Before we get in our topic, I want him to introduce his channel. Go ahead, man.
Hey, so what's going on, everyone? It is a pleasure and honor to be invited to Katori Prince channel. And this is going to be an amazing session. So please, please, please make sure that you watch the whole entire thing. Feel free to go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. My channel is Floyd Speaks or Floyd Hopson. That's my full name. You can find me on YouTube, either or. But go ahead and like and subscribe. I got some really cool videos. And of course, like and subscribe to Katori Prince as well.
Definitely, I'll put his link below in the description. Definitely check out his channel. He's just starting up and he's doing an amazing job. Today, actually, Lloyd, I really want to talk about it. I've seen it on a couple of my YouTube channels, Instagram, and I actually self-reflected when I saw these kind of questions. It's pretty much, what would you have liked to known while separating from the military? You being a recent separated military member, and just this year actually, what would you have known? Like I feel like you were very prepared, but I think we always like, I don't think it's called regret. I think it's just like, oh, I could have done this, or this is why I would advise others. What's something for you?
That's a great question. Great question. So, wow, it's insane. It's been 6 months since I separated from the Air Force.
Yeah,
Oh, how time flies.
it
It's
does.
crazy. but but I mean, back to your question, it's definitely like a long list of different
Hmm.
items that I definitely wish I would have known before joining,
Hmm.
during my time in the Air Force and even after and before I even separated. And so I guess I start with the first and foremost, before joining, I definitely wish I would have known someone that was in any military branch. I
Mm.
mean, yes, my brother, he served in the Army, but his focus wasn't aligned with what I was trying to do when I was about to join the Air Force.
Hmm.
And so basically, that knowledge of being able to know, like, these are the list of jobs that you can do. Instead of enlisting into the Air Force straight out of high school, you could go to ROTC or get an ROTC
Right.
scholarship and then become an
Right.
officer so
Sure.
that, your lifelong journey can be better when you
Hmm.
separate out of the Air Force. And so I guess that's definitely like the before joining the Air Force things that I wish I would have known. During my time in the Air Force, I definitely wish I would have stuck consistently with my school and not took any breaks.
Hmm.
However, thanks be to God, I actually still ended up getting my master's degree before I separated out.
Yeah.
All expenses paid for by the Air Force. So kudos to the Air Force for the
Yeah.
tuition assistance.
Yeah.
And then when I separated out, so been separated 6 months, the Air Force actually has a great program called TAPS, which is basically just it assists with transitioning Air Force members to
Hmm.
basically be able to transition into a good career as a civilian and not really have any difficulties when it comes down to like writing your resume and
Hmm.
looking for jobs. And even if you want to go back into the government sector,
Yeah.
looking for jobs on usajobs.com, well, .gov, usajobs.gov.
Yeah.
But in regards to my career, I spent 4 years in Germany and then I spent 3 years in Japan and I ended up separating in Ohio. And so a lot of things that I wish I could have did. So in regards to like being able to use the VA loan, for example, I didn't really have that opportunity because I was overseas. And I definitely didn't want to buy a
I think what
home
you're
in Germany or Japan.
what you're touching on, I think a lot of people don't know. Like, you can utilize the VA loan while you're active duty, correct?
Yes, you can, definitely. You can use it while you're active duty.
Hmm.
And I would even say it's even better because depending on where you're at, the BAH rate, basic allowance for housing, which is basically an allotted rate for military
Right.
members to be able to pay for wherever they're going to end up living. And so the BAH, depending on where your location is pretty expensive or it's pretty, cheap,
Yep.
depending on where you're at. But like, yeah, definitely you can use it while you're on active use stats.
You touched on one, and I kind of agree. I was like just taking random classes, but I don't think people realize how easily it is to obtain a degree. Not only with TA, which is tuition assistance, what you mentioned. So you're capped out in a year of how much you can utilize. It does fluctuate depending on the government. There have been stories that it has been lowered or limited, but I don't think also people realize you can do what's called CLEPs, where you can take tests, bypass it, and like you don't have to take the class.
Very true. It's interesting you talk about clips. So right now the TA for the Air Force is $4,500 a year. But with CLEPs, it's interesting. I actually took one, and well, I didn't take one. I actually took about 5 of them because they're all free, and I only passed one. So I'm still happy I did get it. But I mean, I got 3 credits from that, so it's saved me from having to take 8-week courses. But in regards to your perspective, how many CLEPs did you end up doing?
I took one, and I think I failed it, so I'm 0 for 1. Okay. But I was like, I told you, I don't waste my time, but I was just taking random classes because I think we don't like a lot of people don't realize some of the stuff you're doing in the military, you actually get credit for. Like your tech school, you get college credit, and then also your, what's it called, like physical, like PT, like stuff, like basic training, or I think it's PT. And then I think after you finish all of basic training in tech school and like your upgrade training, I forgot what it's called, your, the tests and stuff, like you have enough credits. I think you're only missing like speech and stuff, but then you go to finalize in school and stuff, and it'll be enough. So I think, like you said, getting a degree is obtainable, even associate. I think after you separate from the military, there's no reason to at least not have your associate degree.
I definitely agree with you. Like, especially for us, since we did spend, ample amount of years in the Air Force, where we actually have our own community college, the Community College of the Air Force. And like you were saying, definitely from, technical training, and then from basic training and the many different specific courses that we do take in regards to the Air Force, they definitely count towards credits to getting an associate's degree. So I definitely agree with you. Like at a minimum, I truly believe that every Air Force member should at least leave out with an associate's degree.
Absolutely. And I think, Floyd, I think when you touched on it, like I never was big savvy. The way I was raised in my family is like savings is important. But then like over time, you learn like your money, just leaving a savings, you definitely should have an emergency fund, definitely. But I don't think people realize your savings isn't growing. Like the interest you're earning on it is not reflected to inflation. So I think one of the things I would advise or separate, like people before they separate, is definitely like get your finances ready and stuff. Like definitely start investing if possible. But like I think what people don't realize is just how much, like, for example, I think you and I already knew I was gonna go to school. I think you already had a job set up from separating the middle. I don't think people realize the financial like change like right after you separate from the military, and they're not prepared. Like, okay, you're not getting this income anymore, but you still have all these expenses. I don't know if you have some insight on that. I think people just rush out in the military and say, well, I'll be okay. Like they don't understand your BH might not kick in right away from school. Your disabilities might not kick in right away,
Oh, yes, I definitely agree. And it's so interesting, though, when I was figuring out all the necessary steps in regards to maintaining my same quality of life, and of course, even improving my quality of life as I transition out. When you start to sit down and actually go about calculating your expenses and income in the military from a military standpoint, and you put it in a civilian standpoint, it's totally different because a lot of people don't know that when it comes down to your BAS, which is the basic substance allowance or something like that. Basically, it's the food for your food expenses for when you're in the Air Force. Yeah. And then also your BAH. Those 2 items are not taxed. Yeah. And so a lot of people don't understand that like taxes pay a significant portion in your overall salary. Exactly. And so when you put it in a perspective of, a E6 or E7 in the Air Force salary, it can add up, this is just a random calculation, but it can add up to be about $75,000, $70,000. But about 60% of that is not taxed. So it definitely goes a long way in comparison to, say, for instance, you bring home a $75,000 check with a civilian job, where pretty much you have about majority of your income taxed. And so, bringing home a certain amount of money is definitely way less than what you'll bring home in the military. So it definitely takes a lot of planning when you before you separate out.
Floyd, you mentioned like because when I was talking right when he's separating, he had these ones. I think there's so many, and especially when I've been on LinkedIn, just looking at other veterans who has separated, they really maximize resources. When I say that, they really figured out. Do you mind like talking about just like how you figured it out? Like about there's I think hiring for heroes, the skill bridge program. These ones like I never heard when I was separating, or I didn't do enough research to find that out. Like, can you go into that?
Yeah, great question, Anthony. So it definitely boils down to just networking before you separate out
Yeah.
because a lot of programs, it's a sad truth, but they aren't really out there,
Correct.
like in regards to getting the information from an enlisted standpoint. And so definitely connecting with, officers and connecting with higher level enlisted, so like
Mhm.
your E9s and your E8s, they actually have that information because, they're in the process of transitioning out. And officers, they prepare one another, for separating out
Yeah.
for the civilian sector.
Mhm.
But in regards to the different programs, you do have the military skill bridge program,
Mhm.
which allows you to spend your last 3 months of service doing an internship with whatever company you want to pretty much do the internship with. And there's no prerequisites. You just basically apply to a specific type of company, whatever company you want to do. And if they have an internship role for you to fulfill, you'll be accepted into it. And basically, you're still getting paid active duty pay while you do that internship. For me, I actually did the Hiring Our Heroes program. So that's another program which the minimum requirement is you do have to have a bachelor's degree. And so with that, it's the same time frame as the military skill bridge. So you have 3 months to do an internship. And I actually fulfilled my 3-month internship with Wayfair.
Yeah.
And I worked as a customer service manager there. So I was basically just managing their sales associates to pretty much assist them in basically a coaching job, I would say. I encouraged them. I pretty much went over the details of how to be a more effective salesperson when
Mhm.
it comes down to, getting more items purchased and delivered for Wayfair. But overall, the experience was absolutely phenomenal. The experience definitely increased my networking capabilities and opened up new doors of opportunity for lifelong goals.
So you mentioned about networking to like the officers, enlisted members, higher ups, and all that. But also, I think networking in general, just across different AFSC, which are pretty much your jobs, your titles, and everything. I think one of the biggest things I noticed is a lot of people don't understand their full entitlements when separating and the resources they can use. When I say that is, for example, entitlements. I think a lot of people for the AFC in mind or job was TMO. A lot of people didn't know like you could put your items in storage for 6 months after separating if you didn't know where you're going, personal property.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. They didn't know about Diddy move of like, hey, if you drove here and stuff like that. It's just those ideas. When they're flying home, let's say you're for stationed overseas or in a different state, like they didn't know that like, hey, like on your actual orders, it says you if you can go like your home of selection, home of record. People didn't realize that like what they're entitled to. And I think that's something very important to know. Or even like when their final paycheck is, if they wanted, like they have leftover leave, would it be beneficial just to take, or should they just pay it out? You know what I mean? It's like not maximizing your understanding your entitlements. And when I say resources, they like, each base has like, they have an education center. People like the education center, I don't think people realize they know what the GI Bill is like front to back. The one I went to,
That's true. It's the same for me. I agree.
yeah. People didn't notice. And then the same with like family readiness. They had classes they could have been there. I think they offered like financial advice too, like, hey, how do you do your savings and stuff like that. And I don't know if you can speak because if people don't realize Floyd's very well put, like he knows what he's doing and he does his research. But I just think like a lot of people who separate, especially quickly, is like they don't like. I think I don't want to be rude and stuff like that to like not bad mouthing military or anything. I hope it doesn't come off. But what you have to realize that when you're separating the military, because they know you have an end date now, you're no longer an asset to them. People don't realize
Right.
that.
I would agree. I would agree on that.
It's like they set you up for taps. They require you to take taps and stuff. Like you get your orders and stuff. But really, it's just like the rest you have to figure out. They're not gonna spoon feed it to you, like do this, do this. Like you're on your own, really. Like, hopefully you have good leadership, good coworkers to support you and all that. Like it's been a while, so I don't know, like Floyd, like he really had it together and planned out, but I don't know if any of that's making sense or what you think about that.
No. I definitely agree with you. Basically, whenever you have a transition date, I would say they're still going to use you until
Yeah,
you're
of course. They're
actually
gonna work to
done.
the end of your last day.
You're definitely going to be used
Yeah,
effectively. But in regards to definitely providing you with the resources that you need in order to be successful for transitioning out, it's definitely all on the individual, because at the end of the day, it's all about you being successful in, and basically you putting in the work to figure out that information, because nobody's going to give it to you. You're definitely right about that.
absolutely. So just to reemphasize on what we just talked about, definitely making sure that financially you're good. Networking is important. Understanding your entitlements, resources that are being available, and just that transition from the military there, I think are really important. Um,
So
other ones I would
quick
go ahead.
question real quick for you though. I guess I don't know if we hit on it specifically, but definitely if you do a summary for you, I guess, what was the specific things that you wish you would have known before
Like
transitioning out?
mine was a faster one. I think I only had like a couple of weeks. But I think really is understanding like taps is very important. And like taps you got took multiple times. If you are like you have a year out or more, you can attend taps before your year out. And even like, if you're supervision with definitely. I also like would like I did it. I paid off all of like expenses I could. Like I paid off my credit cards. I wish like part of me would have liked to have paid off my card too. I think just not having that extra expense is always helpful. I was thankful to be able to utilize my, entitlements from my personal property to my travel and everything. And really is, I think what I like really have what I've known is what like Floyd mentioned earlier. It's just the different programs available. I really had it set that I want to go to school, but if I know maybe about the hiring for heroes, skill bridge programs, all these other programs that like Floyd mentioned are kind of hidden. And if you don't do your research, you won't know. Prime
Agreed.
example. Yeah. I think that's the one of the biggest like things. Again, not regret. I'm glad I'm understanding it. No, again, I enjoyed my time in the Air Force, so no hard feelings there. But like to wrap it up and stuff, like these are just some ideas that it's our personal opinion. You can add, comment below any ones that you think, but these are just ones that stand out. Floyd, any like closing words or anything?
I think you definitely hit it spot on, but definitely, some for those military members out there that's in the process of transitioning out, I definitely would encourage you to learn as much information that you can. Start of course, you should be definitely taking in much information whenever you first join, but if you're at that point of 3 months out, a year out, you have enough time to definitely network with other people and just figure out the many different programs that are available for you. And also, like Anthony said, the resources that are available for you, so that you definitely don't give up those resources that are just out there, because it's so many. It's so many.
So we're just gonna wrap that up. Definitely, we could like this. Definitely could make a part 2 of this video, but I just want to highlight the ones that just came to my head, and of course with Floyd. So definitely give this video a like, comment below any questions you have. We do interact. Again, check out Floyd's YouTube channel, and I'll put it also in his Instagram as well. All the links will be in the description. I do also have videos about TAPS that if you're interested, definitely I'll link that below too. It's a very important program. I think you're required to take it anyway. So anything else, Floyd, appreciate you attending as always.
Thank you so much for having me on, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Okay. And as always, just please like, subscribe to my channel. I always appreciate your support, and take care and God bless.
Take care. Bye.